There we go.
Hello, everybody. It's a Chat with Al on a Monday night. Doesn't get better than this. Well, there's probably a lot of other things better than Chat with Al on a Monday night, but this ain't bad. This ain't bad. Because making it worth your while, Anthony Crooks, a.k.a. Bleacher Bums Gaming, the creator of the best card and dice game, period, in my opinion. Glory Days Boxing, which can be purchased at sidelinestrategies.com. What, Al? Yes, on sidelinestrategy.com. Look at that right below, sidelinestrategy.com. Every major weight class is available, and there's also some junior classes and more cool stuff coming from Glory Days Boxing and Anthony Crooks from Bleacher Bums Gaming, as well as a college football game soon to be on your tabletop. Glory Days College Football or Glory Days Football. Anyway, Anthony, how you doing, my friend?
Good, buddy. Good to see you, and happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday.
And I think there's a lot of worse things people could be doing on a Monday.
Yes, there are.
So
yes, there are. Like watching the Yankees. Oh, wait, they're not playing. Oh.
Wow.
Anthony's a Yankee fan.
Your time on the golf course will come too, Al.
Yes, I know, but I had to listen to 1918 for the majority of my life. Anyhow, Anthony, how you doing?
Good.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about the fight. It was a good fight. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 3. But let's first, Anthony, tell us about your channel, in case someone doesn't know, and about Glory Days Boxing and your upcoming Glory Days Football, the college version.
Yeah, really, the channel, I haven't been too active lately because of high school football season.
That's right.
Keeping busy, but Glory Days College Football, I think it's pretty much to the point where I'm comfortable with it based on feedback and my own testing. So at this point, it's just waiting for this season to end, and then we'll start rating teams and move forward and look to have that out by the spring. We'll have one more supplemental set of fighters out by the end of the year for Glory Days Boxing, and then some free stuff coming as well.
Awesome. So we have our good friend, Steeler Fan 1933, a.k.a. Matt, big proponent of Glory Days Boxing, as I am. Just wonderful game. And we also have us joining. Bruce is here, Bloomgren, as he says hello, and Keith White. Hello to one and all. Thank you for joining us.
Everyone.
So, what were your initial thoughts going into Fury Wilder 3? What were your initial, not the fight itself, but what was your thought process? I know we've talked a little bit offline weeks ago.
Yeah, and we did talk about it in the past, and I thought I liked what I have. What's up, Arnold? I liked what I saw from some of Wilder's training clips. I don't know why he released the bench press video. That doesn't help you win fights, but I like some of the stuff he was doing.
Yeah,
and I thought it would be a good change for him, and especially since him and Malik Scott have a good personal friendship, and it was more business with Mark Breland. And Mark Breland's a good trainer.
Yeah.
I don't think him and Wilder had a connection. So I was expecting Wilder to change it up, at least initially. And how he stuck to that, I think, depended on how the fight went in his favor. That's what I was looking for going into
we had talked about, like, if I was training him. And again, once you get hit, sometimes you just revert back to what you are. I thought I'd like to see him work on a left hook, because I think it's something that can be taught, a left hook to the body and then up to the head. I did like, before you get in, what he did in the fight to start off with, and we'll talk about that in a moment. I liked the first few rounds, he was trying something a little different, was working a bit. I'm not going to say it was outstanding, but it gave Tyson Fury a different thought process. But he can bang. My God, I think he could put some damage on people on the way down. Like, he could be going down, throwing a punch, and if he hits you, he could hurt you. And he was tough as nails. Hats off to him with that. The fight lived up to it's billing. I enjoyed all 3 of those fights. That trilogy, awesome. I enjoyed every one of them. That being said, there should be no excuses after this one, as there shouldn't have been any excuses, in my opinion, after the second one. I thought that the first 6 rounds, the fight was fairly close. And then after that, it was all fury. Not that Deontay didn't get some shots in, and we'll recap it better. But that's my initial feeling. And I rewatched the fight today while I was eating lunch at work, because someone actually posted it in like Eastern European call on YouTube. I was like, oh, cool, I'll rewatch it. Feel like just to get my thought process down again. Because sometimes when I watch a fight, I get emotional. And Nurse Teresa would tell you at the end, I didn't want to see. I picked Fury this time. This time I picked Fury. I picked Wilder the first 2 times. And I didn't want to see, though I don't always like Deontay Wilder's sometimes antics, I'll call them, or lack of sportsmanship. I didn't want to see him get hurt. And I thought when they sent him out for that final round before he gets knocked out, he was done. And I know he wanted to go out in his shield, but he got hit hard, Anthony. It was pretty frightening. So, but anyway, how did you?
I would say erratic, Camp Matt, but yeah. he did some good things though too.
Yes.
And this fight will come with controversy. There's already some out there. We'll talk about that as we get going. But some things he did I liked early.
Yep.
Is, like you mentioned, jabbing to the midsection. And even beyond that,
he threw the right to the body, the straight right.
Yeah, and he was going, and actually he was landing it a lot on Fury's hip, and that's
which is a good tactic.
It is, and the announcer didn't even really mention that, and that kind of surprised me.
I'm gonna get to some of that whole broadcast. Not so much, but there's a lot of things I had wrong with that broadcast throughout.
But that's you throw that punch actually to basically spasm or cramp up someone's hip to impede movement, and so that was a tactic. And I thought some of that was really good, and I had the fight even through 6 rounds. I
had it close,
and we'll talk about the 4th round too, because that's where the controversy comes out, and that's the thing.
Are you talking about when they said they didn't count fast enough? Is that I rewatched that today specifically. That's why I was happy to find someone posted on YouTube. You pick up the ref counted the same way for both fighters. Now, the one thing he said, what people don't realize or might not realize, Wilder, he starts the count, okay? That Wilder didn't go to the neutral corner. You can see him go, hey, go to the neutral corner. He stops the count because Wilder has to go to the new watch. I'll put the link in. I'll put the link in if anyone wants to watch it.
And that's exactly it. And that's what people don't understand. And this isn't a new thing. We had long count in the Douglas Tyson, supposedly in the Tyson Douglas fight. And then you go back to 1927, the most famous long count, Dempsey Tunney too. The timekeeper, it's not a 10-second runoff. The timekeeper starts the count. Referee picks it up after he directs the fighter that scored the knockdown to the neutral corner. And then on his discretion, he breaks it if that fighter comes out. And at that point, he picks up from where he left off. That fighter broke the count. It happened to Dempsey, happened to Tyson, happened to Wilder. And then, that's boxing 101. And they go over that before the fight, too.
You can clearly see it. He goes, he starts the count. He says, go to the neutral corner. You're not in the neutral, I'm paraphrasing, go to the neutral corner. And then he picks up the count again. Yeah. Well, now, so that's that little mini controversy there. And that's just ridiculous. But continue. I'm sorry, Anthony.
And the other thing, like I said, Wilder did some good stuff. And
he did.
Arnold Hunter, he's put it on. He's on point right in the chat. Yeah. He was breathing out of his mouth after 2 rounds. And going into the 5th and 6th, he was tired. Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he put on so much extra weight. And
he looked good with that weight, though. He did look good with that weight, I thought.
He did, but he puts it on in muscle, not like Ty or Fury who puts it on in shepherd's pie. There is a difference. You could be big and not much. I mean, Andy Ruiz is another good example. He is not solid, but he's fast. And if he was muscular,
I'd like to see. And later on, we'll talk about some upcoming fights I'd like to see with Joshua Wilder. And even now, I see an interesting fight with Ruiz in the mix, possibly, with a Deontay Wilder, because that could be a fun fight. Whether Wilder would take it, I don't know. But just to touch on the point, I thought Wilder did some good things early with the jab, the right hand of the body. Again, the broadcast team did not pick up what you said there. He was hitting to the hip. It's a tactic Marciano used. It's a tactic Joe Frazier used. At times, Mike Tyson, because like Anthony said, you hit someone on the hip a few times good. Guess what? It hurts. And it kind of gives you like a spasm or slows you down.
It's like the equivalent of leg kicks in MMA. Yeah. It really is.
And it's not a legal blow, but if they let you get away with it, you keep throwing it. So that worked for about 2.5 rounds. And about round 3, he got hit with, he was getting hit with some good shots anyway from Wilder. From Fury, excuse me. And he landed. Wilder was coming back with some shots. But Fury is just so, when he throws, he's much more fluent. The one thing Tyson Fury should take away from this fight, sometimes he smothered himself too much. And I think his corner, the nephew of Emmanuel Stewart, who I can't think of his name.
Sugar
Hill, thank you. He goes, you got to take him out, big dog. Big dogs take people out. Because he started to, and I understood Teresa, like I was watching with Nurse Teresa, and she goes, well, he's using his weight. I go, no, I get that. I understand that. That's a brilliant tactic. But he was smothering himself at times, and that's a little farther down. We'll get to that. Where did you, and Arnold Hunter says like around the 4th, and I agree, because around midway through the 3rd, he didn't really jab anymore. I thought another effective tactic, if he used it, was just to like sort of jab at Fury's chest, maybe, and just bring his hands a bit down, because he still throws, obviously, a thunderous right. But Fury was hitting him with sneaky body shots, especially around the 5th round. He was hitting him with some good body shots and muscling him. Another good tactic I thought that Wilder used, they must have worked on this in camp. It wasn't really an offensive tactic, but if he leans on you, kneel down. Because that's going to bring attention to the referee. Hey, he's leaning on me, which is when you push down, it's against the rules of boxing. But yeah, I agree. Around the 4th, you could see him, like, to me, it was like 2, 3.5, like midway through the 3rd, you could see him really start to be gassed. And that's when he just reverted back to the jab was not really there anymore. And
we talked about that when we talked about the fight, and prior to this too. It's okay to learn new things, but when you get tired, when you get hurt, you revert back to what you know and what's been comfortable for you. And the other thing he did that was really hurt him is he circled into Fury's power as well as he started.
He always moved into Fury's power.
Yeah.
And again, that's something he's done with probably everyone. If we went back, he's not a natural. He's a natural puncher.
Well, he did move more laterally in this fight versus straight up and down and in and out. But when you're circling the wrong way, you're going to catch.
Because Fury, again, I thought I don't know if Fury played with him at times. After Fury went down twice, obviously he's cognizant. He already knew he could hit, and he's more cognizant of, oh my God, this guy almost knocked me out. So he's a little more cautious. But let me just, where are my little notes here? Right. So you had it even after 6, right?
Yeah.
I had Fury. It's either even or Fury slightly ahead. Actually, no. I'm looking at, I had Wilder slightly ahead. Okay.
And I think the difference, I did not give him a 10-7 round.
I did. I gave it for the 2. I did. So I had him slightly ahead. I made a mistake. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. So again, even at that point in time with Wilder fighting fairly well, but he's gone down. Now he's dropped Fury twice. Wilder went down in the third. I gave the first round to Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
Second round, close to Fury. That one could have went either way. Third round, 10-8 with the knockdown to Fury. Wilder did a good job surviving that round. Fury kind of smothered himself, and it was towards the end of the round. The fourth round, 2 knockdowns. I mean, that was, again, I can see only giving it 10-8, actually. I gave it a 10-7 because it's just the way I saw the 2 knockdowns. But to that point, before those knockdowns, Fury was actually doing quite well, actually had him stunned, and he got caught. In the fifth, I noted legs looked gone for Wilder, but I still gave him the 5th round. Close. I write close. And then in the 6th, Wilder wearing down more, and Fury continues to use his size. He just keeps smothering him. And
it was pretty much all Fury from that point on.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. What did you think of Fury's weight at 277, 280?
You know, that's another thing people are saying is unfair, and I have a rebuttal to that. But
yeah.
He's 6'9". If he can carry that, and he's never going to be the body beautiful. He never has been. Doesn't care to be. And carrying that weight, and as sloppy as he looked, he did fatigue as the fight went on, but he was definitely the fresher of the two.
He definitely was the fresher of the two. I had listened to his father have a rebuttal to David Haye, which was outstanding. His father's a tough human being. His father was a bare knuckle champion in the Irish gypsy community. So that's a tough human being. That he had challenged David Haye. He goes, come down and train with my son and see if you can do what my son does. The one thing I will say, and I don't know if, because Tyson Fury kind of mentioned something that he might have had an injury in camp later on. Mm-hmm. If I understood the press conference correctly, because he was, but he did not move as much, where it looked like he was going to put the pressure on him, and I thought there were times where he could have made Wilder come to him a little bit, like think he has an advantage and catch him coming in, and he would have, because if you catch a guy coming in. What were your thoughts on that? Or is it just you think his strategy? And I get it. He was the bigger guy, and he uses his body beautifully to smother the guy. But I
don't think his movement was as good as it was.
No,
especially the first fight. His movement was very good then. And actually, while he was fresh, I thought Wilder's footwork was much improved early in this fight.
I just want to touch base with you on that, because I thought Fury. It was interesting because someone like a Usyk might watch that fight. Now, I don't know who wins that. Well, I think Fury wins that fight, depending on his mindset. And to be honest with you, one other thing, many things we'll talk about while we have you on. What's next for everyone? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a mandatory, big whoopee ding dong. He might not even take the mandatory. You know what I'm saying? He might go take the title. I'm the linear champ. I'll fight who I want, because to him. And then we'll move on to the second half of the fight when you want. My thought process, if I'm Tyson Fury in his camp, right, we want big money fights. I ain't putting my guy in the ring to chance life and limb for a couple mil or whatever. We want big money fights. And to me, I don't know what's out there for big money fights.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that, Mark. He reverted back because he tired. He reverted back to what he has always done. Hell, he even threw some hooks in the first couple of rounds.
He did. He actually, when he dropped him, he was throwing hooks.
Yeah. So and that's not a normal part of his.
No, he's a big right hand puncher.
He strung some good multi-punch combinations together with the hook. And
so close first half of the fight. We both agree upon that, and even I think. The broadcast had it. Again, before we move forth, I have to bash the broadcast just a little bit. They did a thing on one of the prelim fights. Helenius, who is from Finland, not Sweden. They did a promo how he's going to wants to be the first Swedish heavyweight champ since Ingemar Johansson. He's from Finland. And I turned to Teresa. I go, I could swear this guy's from Finland. I've watched him fight before. And they made another horrible mistake in another bout. It was the Fury. I can't remember exactly where when they're talking about it, but the broadcasting was. I like Brian Kenny. I thought Lennox Lewis was good, and who was with them? Porter
Ward.
was
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward. I thought he was good. Though I thought Ward was a little, I don't know if it was him or Porter yelled out, it's a slow count. And again,
that was
he's
Ward.
Was it Ward?
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe he didn't see. The guy didn't go to the neutral corner. You stop the count. That's the rules. So there was a little iffiness with that. That's just my thought on that.
Well, and to finish on the weight issue,
yeah,
people are Fury's. This is stuff I've seen today online. Fury's too big. He needs to fight. They need to be a super heavyweight division.
No,
and people don't understand boxing history. There was a 39-pound weight difference. Okay, if you go back, and I'm going to give you some fights.
Primo Canera, Tommy Longren, huge weight.
Yeah, these are all title fights where the smaller man won. Okay, Bob Fitzsimmons beat Gus Rulin in a heavyweight title defense. He weighed 158 to 150 or 195, 37 pounds. Okay. Yep. Jack Dempsey was outweighed by Jess Willard by 58 pounds when they fought.
Yep.
Max Baer was outweighed by Primo Carnera by 54.
Yep.
Holyfield and Douglas, 38-point advantage to Douglas.
Yep.
Joe Lewis and Abe Simon, 48-pound advantage.
Simon was a big dude.
Yeah. And then you come forward a little bit. Chris Byrd beat Vitaly Klitschko and was outweighed by 33 pounds. So that's all more or in the neighborhood. Chris
Byrd, I think in that fight weighed like 212 pounds or 210.
He was 211 and Klitschko was 240.
Okay, I knew it was something because he was like, and he boxed beautifully. Yeah, these people who want, he's too big. Come on.
I mean, it's the heavyweight division. It is what it is, and there's always been.
They tried this nonsense with a super heavyweight. If you remember, one of those ABC baloney organizations tried a super heavyweight.
Yeah.
No.
And that's just bullshit. It's just another way to get more sanctioning fees, and that's the last thing we need in the new division. God. Yeah, that's another thing. Brian actually does a lot of boxing.
No, he's a good boxing. He did a lot of boxing.
Yeah, and he's pretty solid at it. But one thing having all those gigs is you don't maybe have the time to research some of the undercard fighters like you should, maybe.
Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes. I mean, they just I don't know. It was a sloppy broadcast, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a great point. I mean, there should be no super heavyweight division. And you know what it is? It's apology. Your guy loses. It's simple as that. Mm-hmm. He fought hard. He tried his best. He lost.
And again, I mentioned off air that Malik Scott has already done an interview, Wilder's trainer, and no excuses coming from Malik. They talk a little bit about the glove controversy again, and he doesn't really say there was one, but he wasn't too happy with the fact that he got gloves in later, and it is what it is, but they still have to be approved. But I thought Scott gave a very fair and balanced interview and admitted Fury is a better man.
Here's the thing with the gloves. The commission is in there. A representative from the other camp is in there. Now, the first glove controversy in the second fight, honestly, I didn't know what gloves he used, but then when they explained it, they did a good job on that with the broadcast. It was a mixture of horsehair and whatever the other padding is. Horsehair, when you continue to use it, it moves. It's what it is. I can show you these old gloves back here. Those are Joe Backski's gloves. No one's going to remember. He was a top 10 heavyweight in the late 40s and early 50s. My dad knew him. That's how he got those gloves. He fought a couple of times in this area. He was out from the Midwest, I think, but he came.
Do you want a card for him in the next set out?
Yes, I would like a card for Joe. It's
Bakasi.
Yeah, because I always say it Basky, and it's not. It's Backsy. Big, he was a good fighter. Not the best, but he was a good fighter. But they're it happens. So when they explain, and again, there's the commission in there. you lose, you lose. The better man has won the fights. And again, I picked Deontay Wilder the first 2 fights. I picked Fury this fight because I didn't think Deontay could change enough. But you know what? He always had the puncher's chance. Yeah. So now, is there anything else, Anthony, before we move to the second half? We can always come back to stuff.
No, I just think overall grading the trilogy, I mean, it's not Ali Frazier, but I would put it up there with Holyfield and Bout. I mean, it's up there with those other two as the best series of heavyweight fights over the last.
And the other thing that this had, it had the emotion.
Oh yeah,
all 3 of those fights had the emotion with the fans, with the press conferences. It had the emotion. And here's what I wish. If Fury gets another big fight, which he will, right? I mean, one he really gets into. I hope to God they can put it in the UK, because I want to see a soccer stadium like filled. That was awesome. Unfortunately, Anthony Joshua lost, which killed a huge payday for Fury and Joshua. Mm-hmm. But I wish that can happen someday, because I forgot Frank Warren is part of his promotion. I forgot about Frank Warren.
And give Fury credit there too. He goes to other people's places.
That's right.
Beats them. He beat Klitschko in Germany. I mean, he goes into hostile environments.
He beat, and again, not the most thrilling fight, but he won every round. Go back and watch it. He beat Klitschko so bad they couldn't even screw him in Germany. Klitschko never touched him.
Which is notorious for
bad decisions. The only place you get screwed worse is if you're fighting in Italy against an Italian sometimes. I've seen some shaky decisions there.
I want to just touch on one more thing about the end of the fight, because Wilder's getting a lot of heat for sportsmanship. And listen, if you go back, first of all, and I know as a former athlete, sometimes you put so much into something that emotionally, right after it ends, you're not ready to be gracious. And, should you? Yeah. But again, when you stick a mic, and you saw it at the Olympics too, when you stick a mic in someone's face right after a disappointing thing, sometimes you don't get the response you're looking for because they're still processing. And give Wilder credit. I mean, he was honest. He said, I don't want to show sportsmanship now. And, the other thing is this was a contentious rivalry. And, you go back, you have guys like Gotti and Ward who had 3 great fights and had no animosity between them, mutual respect. But Pep and Sadler, they hated each other.
They hated each other to the day Pep's still alive. I think Sadler's passed, I think.
Pazienza and Haugen hated each other.
No, I mean, absolutely.
You have those rivalries, and it is what it is. You can't tell someone you should be more gracious if he has legitimate, and even Fury, he says,
he said,
pray for God to soften his heart. Yeah. Well, right at the beginning of the fight, as they went to get the instructions, he called him a bitch. I mean, come on. You can't have it both ways. They're both, I love them both. I've got love for both of them.
Yep.
And that's their personalities. That's Fury's. And, I can't fault Wilder for his reaction either. It is what it is.
Yeah. And they gave us 3 very fun fights.
Very fun.
Very fun fights. And again, I hope everyone's healthy. That's all because that fight was brutal.
It was.
The one thing, again, if it had come down to a decision, Wilder and Fury was going to win easy because he had outpunched him 2-1. And they gave the scorecards, and they were I thought they were in line with what it could be. I mean, one was a little closer than I thought, but it wasn't outright. Because again, if you give one close round the other way early, that's the way it comes out.
I thought the 95 to 91, 95, 92 were both very reasonable. 94 to 92, not so much.
Yeah. So now we move to the second half of the fight. And again, my notes are pretty, I'm not going to go around, but it's all Fury. He's wearing him down. There was one point, was it the 10th? The 10th, Wilder had his last little hurrah. He threw, I think, 2 combinations. He threw as hard as he could. He had been rattled. And he caught Fury. He caught Fury. He caught Fury and he got him. And I think that's when he went back to the corner. I think Sugar Hill, that's when I don't know if it was, I think it was that round in between the 11th, because I see the highlight, but it wasn't during I don't recall it during the fight. I just saw it later. So I'm assuming it's that round where he goes, you got to take him out. I was telling Teresa, I go, Wilder's going to be dangerous as long as he's in there. If you can take him out, you take him out, because he could knock you out on his, I told this to Anthony before we came out, he could knock you out on the way down. He could be going down and throwing a punch and hit you. That's how hard he hits.
And he wanted to go out on his shield, and he was adamant about that for that reason, because he knows, and he was dead tired, but he still has that power.
I'm going to be honest. Everyone's going to get mad at me. I wanted him to stop the fight, even though he had that mini rally, which was his last hurrah, because I'm like, he's going to get, I told, again, when I was watching with Nurse Teresa, I go, he's going to get hurt. He's going to get hurt. And I said, I know he fired his last trainer because he wanted to stop the fight and he wanted to go out in his shield, and that's, God bless him. But again, I don't want to see him get hurt. And he got tagged.
And Scott mentioned that in his interview. First of all, he said, he goes, I thought the stoppage was well-timed, perfectly and appropriate.
Yeah, the referee did a great job,
He also said, even though they didn't discuss it, because he knows Deontay personally and knows his mentality, he did say that he would not have thrown the towel in.
Yeah. Well, no, that's and again, I respect that. I just didn't want him to get hurt. His legs were gone by the the fourth, third.
And that's the other thing. Deontay's carved himself out he's got a beautiful family, carved himself out a good life. You want them to enjoy it when they're done fighting.
And again, I like both boxers. I have no animosity towards, they're good for boxing.
They are.
Regardless,
the heavyweight division needed these two guys,
because
and they were perfect dance partners for each other.
So in the last hurrah on the 10th, again, because it's just, to me, and then I'll turn it over to you, to Anthony, and if anyone jump in the chat, he's wearing him down, and beautifully he's using his body to wear him down. The girth of Tyson Fury, the little nuances that he did. A casual boxing fan, I mean, I assume they'd know that, but maybe they don't. How he just lays on him, leans on him, puts his weight on him. He did the headlock a few times. He got away with it. In his mind, I'm going to keep doing it until that ref gives me that strong warning. Hey, you better stop it. Then he stopped. He put him in there a little bit, and he immediately raised his arm. But it was all smart. He fought like a big man. The only thing that I saw, two things. His movement wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Where I thought, we had discussed with Anthony, I thought there were times if he had his movement, he could have laid a trap, let Wilder come to him. And again, Fury's hands are quick. And Wilder's hands are quick too, don't get me wrong. But you look at him and you're like, oh, and his hands are quick. And his strength is tremendous. And his punching power, don't underestimate his punching power. He's a 280-pound man who hits good. That was the only thing. I thought he smothered himself a little too much, got too close at times. What were your thoughts on the second half?
No, I agree. And that's, one thing. I think that was kind of his strategy, though, is in the first fight, he did not sit down on his punches like he did in the last two. And part of that is reflected by his lack of movement over the first fight. But, again, you generate that leverage. And I think his plan, he didn't want to get into a slugfest with Wilder trading punches. So I think some of that was intentional. Some of it, he didn't gain distance well, but some of it was get my shots in
and smother him.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I see that. Yeah, no. But I just thought when he really had him hurt at times, I thought I thought he got too close. He smothered him, and that gave Wilder. There were times where he should have been like this, and then bam. Again,
that's one thing he didn't do in those situations where he has someone hurt. He will use his jab to create space and even push it, and then fire.
Now, what we were talking about. Now I'm thinking a little more. That's why I like talking to Anthony and everyone about. Maybe he was leery about, hey, this guy could wing one at me. Let me hit him and smother him and get my shots in.
That first shot he hurt him with in the 10th, it wasn't like a full-fledged punch. It was kind of like like someone spiking a volleyball.
Yeah, but
But that's how much power
he did another cute thing. He did a quick hold of the head and an uppercut, which he almost put Deontay in.
Yeah.
Like Deontay did a spin move. He got hit so hard, but it was Lennox Lewis was an art. Lennox Lewis had that down to an art at times. I remember when Lewis knocked out the guy in the second round from Grant. I think it was Michael Grant. He was a little more flagrant with that one, but he perfected the thing where I'm going to hold you, I'm going to put you right in place, and boy, I'm nailing you with that uppercut. And again, it's a beautiful tactic if you can do it quickly enough.
Well, and we talked about that's kind of the beauty of Fury too. We talked about how Wilder, to kind of negate Fury leaning on him, would drop down.
Yes.
And that was Fury's adjustment to that. I'll push you down, get you down there.
And I'm going to hit you with the uppercut.
And then come with an uppercut. So, a pretty good tactical fight. And Fury is just better at tactics than Wilder, plain and simple.
So then we come to the 11th, the end. And it was it was a great fight. We all love knockouts. I love knockouts. Anyone who watches boxing likes knockouts. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. Mm-hmm. And I know it's a hurt business, but I'm watching that. I'm like, oh man, when he got tagged with that, and when I was so happy, the referee, and before even, it's done. It's done. Don't even let him try to get up. It's done.
He actually tried to catch him.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was out. That was, and you know what? Fury probably could have tagged him with another shot on the way down. In my opinion, he didn't. I was happy about that. And he could have rightfully so did that. And I'm glad he didn't, because he was out. Where in one of the prelim fights, real quick, that was another thing. I'll let it go. Then we'll go back to that's another stupid thing the broadcast team butchered on that one, or the commission on one of the prelim fights. Is like, ugh. But so the knockout happens. You knew it was coming. I at that point in time, Wilder might have landed a home run, a Hail Mary, but his legs were really gone, and he was tough as nails, and he tried his best, and he should be proud of himself. But that, to me, it was difficult to watch.
No, he fired his last salvo for sure in the 10th, and
those two hard combinations.
It was a matter of time, and again, brutal fight, and hopefully, he was taken to the hospital right after the fight too.
Well,
hopefully everyone is okay.
Yeah, and again, if you absolutely, that's the most important thing. The other thing to see to some people think it's funny. I don't. To see the family members, like emotional, whether it was the Fury or Deontay Wilder's that's not funny. That's your loved one in there. He
kind of annoys me. They show so many families.
I wish they wouldn't do that.
Actually,
I wish they wouldn't, to be honest, because it's why not put their kids in the front row and watch? To let them be horrified. Okay, so the fight's over. If anyone questions Fury's stamina, which I'm not questioning his stamina, I'm just about his movement. He then takes the mic. And he does his own rendition of Walking in Memphis, but Walking in Vegas. And he sings for about, a minute and a half. And it was pretty funny. But he's good for the game. He's good for the game. I mean game loosely, as it's a contact sport.
The thing about him, too, is most of it, he does a lot of self-effacing stuff. And most of it is not malicious. Most of it. He's not like a Conor McGregor whose act is thin.
That's a great point, because Conor McGregor, again, a great tough guy. His shtick's worn because he's too much of a. I don't know. I don't like what he does. Where a lot of Tyson Fury, he is who he is. I don't think these two fighters don't like each other. Maybe someday they will. Honestly, I don't think they'll ever like each other. They just don't like each other, and that's the way it is. It's too. Well, it'd be nice, like Anthony said at the end, hey, it's a good fight, but they don't like each other, and that's that. The press conference, this was another point where no knock against male, female reporters, anything, because you can have good reporters, bad reporters, doesn't matter. But Bob Arum, who I really don't like, did make a good point in the press conference Okay. And I was talking with Teresa. I go, I bet you a lot of money. This is before the fight. I go, I bet you a lot of money went on Deontay Wilder at the end because you're thinking a puncher. I think it was 3-1, 4-1, maybe 3-1. Maybe I'm going to throw $100 and make 300 or 400. So a reporter, a female reporter, she's telling Bob Arum, why was everyone picking Deontay Wilder? Why had all the money? And it was asking Tyson Fury actually, and Bob Arum interrupts. He goes, "Where do you get your facts?" And he explains how the betting goes. Because I was saying that before, I go, man, did he shut her up? And again, it was kind of rude, but he's right. You don't. You could say, wow, a lot of late money, went to Deontay Wilder, but that was there's a lot of things with the broadcast I didn't like also, and that was a press conference afterwards. So that was a Yahoo Sports announcer. I thought the broadcast throughout the prelims got a lot of things wrong. From not having the guy in the right country. Finland, folks, Finland, not Sweden. They also had, who was it? I never saw a fight before. I've read about him, saw some clips on YouTube. The Cuban heavyweight who beat, I don't remember, the guy, the heavyweight from Nigeria.
Peter Samuel, the Nigerian heavyweight.
No. It was a different. It was a next to last fight. It was the fight before the Fury Wilder fight. Now I can't remember the people, but it was a Cuban fighter and a fighter from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he had quick hands. That was interesting to a point. I thought
Frank Sanchez. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there it is. Batman Boxing, our good friend. Check out that wonderful channel. Yes. So Sanchez and Ajagba, who body beautiful, but a lot of the fighters from Africa, not all, but they're very 1, 2, 3. And if they can't do the 1, 2, guess what? The 3 ain't coming. His corner was so mad at him going in the last few rounds. You go, you got to throw let your hands go. But the guy caught him a couple of times, right? And then he's always trying to land the big right hand. And that guy, Frank Sanchez, he was like 240 and he moved very well. He threw quick hands. Interesting. It's the first time I saw him fight. I'd seen some YouTube stuff.
I've seen a Jagba before, and he's a talent, and he's going to get better and make some noise. But again, it's a difference part of. I mean, boxing is a culture in Cuba.
Yes,
and Cuban fighters come out of the amateur ranks so much more technically advanced than fighters in a lot of other countries. So there's that advantage there. Jagba is just really raw skill, and he's still learning and getting molded, where Sanchez is already pretty polished, honestly.
Yeah, he looked good. All right, fight's done. Fury wins, knockout. No one can come anything. He wins. What is not next for Fury? We'll discuss that in a little bit if you want. Here's something I'd like to see, because they can make money. And if you have fighters like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, if you're their management team, how do I max out their money? Because especially Wilder, he's taken a lot of punishment in these last 2 fights, a lot of punishment. Anthony Joshua's taken some punishment too. That is a fight that would make them a lot of money, and I think it would pique the interest of the fan base, because I wouldn't even take tune-up fights. I go, guys, we can make a ton of money, and the winner, you sit there and you go, hey, we're right up there again. Any thoughts on that?
To be honest, that fight might draw a better revenue stream than Fury Usyk right now.
I was going to get to that in a moment, but I totally agree.
It will, and it'd be a good fight for Wilder to have in his home state of Bama. Would do big business across the pond too, because those are the 2 guys, the 2 basically executioners in the division. Wilder for sure, and Joshua has that capability. I think that would draw a lot of fan interest. I'd love to see that fight.
I think it would be a tremendous fan-friendly fight for the simple reason Deontay Wilder, he might box slightly more, throw the jab, but then he's going to sit there and go, I can knock this guy out. I can knock this guy out. And he's going to stand and he's going to throw. And I think Joshua's going to stand and throw. I don't mean, there'll still be movement and stuff, but I think it'd be a good action fight. And just my thought process, again, if you want to max out the money you make for your fighters, because I don't think Anthony Joshua's long for the game anymore. I think he's going to sit there and maybe one or two more big fights. And Deontay Wilder, for his own health, I just want him to max out his money. He's already made a ton of money. I'm just saying. But
Red Sox update.
Red Sox update from our sideline reporter, Nurse Teresa.
Bottom of the third.
Bottom of the third.
Devers just hit a home run, 3-0.
3-0 Boston. Anthony's ecstatic to hear that as he rolls his eyes.
Look how excited I am.
I know. Anyway, Nurse Teresa says hello to everybody.
Hello.
Thank you for the update.
Hi, Nurse Teresa.
So
no, but if the thing with AJ, if he did exercise his rematch clause with Usyk, if he loses that fight, I think he probably is done.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess you do take the option for the title shot again, because if you win that,
then you have a Fury fight.
Then you get the Fury fight.
Mm-hmm.
The other interesting Deontay Wilder matchup, possibly not as much money, but again an interesting matchup: Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. Because imagine if Andy Ruiz drops down to 200 and less than a glutton pounds, just a little bit. He's not body beautiful. That's fine. But he has quick hands. And if he got on the inside, imagine that war they would have.
And the other thing too is Ruiz is a little bit chinny. If you tag him, especially early, he goes down. Joshua put him down. Chris Arreola put him down, and Arreola is a tough fighter, but he doesn't have the quickness and the explosiveness that Wilder does.
Right.
They're very, neither one of them is very beautiful in terms of sheer boxing ability, but I would definitely put Wilder much better than him. So that's an intriguing fight for sure too.
Those are the two that popped into my head. Just again, I'm playing matchmaker. I'm not saying these are going to be done. I'd like to see it. And again, the Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua fight, much more money.
Or even Wilder and Parker possibly, but I think the first two fights from a fan perspective are a lot more enticing.
What Fury has a mandatory. I don't even know who his mandatory is.
He takes on the winner of Dillian White and Otto Wallen. And Wallen,
didn't he already beat Otto Wallen?
He did, but Wallen
Tough
gave
time.
him some struggles. Yeah. He had a really nasty gash, and
and okay,
Wallen,
that's a fight that I remember.
Wallen had his moments, and that was kind of the comparison I made with Usyk. Very similar fighters. Usyk does it a lot better, and I think ultimately Fury beats Usyk, but Usyk is faster than Wallen and a little bit better technically. And he'd be able to work inside of him. Again, that big weight differential would eventually wear him down, I think.
So our good friend MV says Joshua beats where it is over here. He thinks Joshua wins the rematch. Now I'll have to disagree with our good friend MV here, because I think Fury would be highly motivated for a Joshua fight. And if he's not, shame on him. I just think he'd be. Now, I'm not saying he can't lose. I just see it as a tough fight for Joshua. I think Fury would be highly motivated. Again, we don't know until it happens, but what's your thoughts on that? I think he'd be highly motivated for Anthony Joshua fight.
Yeah. I agree 100%, not to mention how huge that fight would be in England. I mean, like we've talked, that would sell out Wembley and the adjacent arena for paper, people to watch it on the big movie screen. So it's a fight that would do business. And I think more than anything, Fury loves a fight game. I think after that fight, he would not be motivated really because he'd have nothing much else to prove, but that would get him every strap. He's already the lineal champion. So yeah.
Mark Jones, Fury will fight either Usyk or AJ late next summer, and then he'll retire. He's not fighting Wyatt or Wallen because there isn't money. I tend to lean that way. I actually thought he might retire after this. You never know.
And
He
may not be, but again, that fight's a mandatory. So if he doesn't take that, he'll get stripped, and maybe that doesn't matter to him.
I don't think it does matter
he
to
wants
him
to collect all the belts, though. I kind of think he wants all of them. Retires. Yeah.
I just think okay. Well, let's play devil's advocate for one. Let's say Usyk wins the rematch. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not okay. There's money there, right? I don't think there's as much money in the States for that fight.
No,
I could be wrong. I think if they can fight that in the UK, there's good money there.
Yeah.
Usyk wins. Usyk's going to try very similar tactics that he used with Anthony Joshua. And if Fury is of sound mind and will, those tactics to me will not be as effective, because while Usyk will be trying to dip in and out, Fury's going to be putting him with the jab a bit, and Fury's going to lean on him. Fury's going to muscle him a bit. And again, anything can happen in boxing. I thought AJ was going to win that fight with Usyk. I did my own little live call and live chat when the fight went on, and if you listen to it, I was in shock. He looked so loose coming into the ring. He looked so
very
loose,
relaxed, very,
and he was horrible in that fight.
But you also saw the look he started to get around the fourth or fifth.
Oh
round.
yeah, that's what I knew was
Ruiz fight too.
He's done. He's done.
Yeah.
Do you see? Again, we're going to do both. Usyk wins the rematch, devil's advocate kind of thing. Do you again? Every fighter has a chance. Do you see him? How would you Usyk's got to do the dart, almost very similar tactics with the AJ fight.
I think one thing he should not do is try and put on more weight to negate Fury's size. I think it almost has to be like a Billy Conn, Joe Louis fight.
Yes.
Where he does those same things in and out. Usyk is faster than Fury. So in and out, not let him catch you, and focus on conditioning and not trying to outmuscle him. And Usyk has a good chin too. He's taken some shots, so I think that is his chance. I don't know that Fury. What he does very well is adapt in the fight too. You saw, the first round or two of the Wilder fight where that jab and to the body, right hand to the hip, kind of was flummoxing him, and then he adapted, and he also fixed his head movement because he was timing when Wilder was going to throw the right. So he's very good at adapting on the way. He's got a great young trainer in his corner. So I think he'd have problems with Usyk early, and I think he would eventually start to wear him down and solve him and get a decision in that one.
Our good friend, Hockey Unreal, says, I just saw the highlights. What a crazy fight. Tremendous fight.
Great
fitting
fight.
end to a trilogy. Tremendous fight. Tremendous. Well worth the watch. And you can find it. Search on YouTube. There's a couple of, if they haven't been pulled down, you can watch the whole thing if you want. So Usyk, I agree. I wouldn't put on weight if I was Usyk. I think the same weight he came in for Joshua, he moved well. Mm-hmm. I don't think he'll be able to muscle Tyson Fury like he did Joshua at the end.
No.
And I think that's a great analogy. Billy Conn, Joe Louis, even like a Jimmy Young, George Foreman. Again, it's just hit and don't be hit. And that's what he'll have to do. Now let's play the other way. Anthony Joshua wins the fight.
I agree with your comment there, Mark.
Oh, let's go to Mark.
Usyk would have to be decisive like he was the first time, because if it's close, he will definitely get the benefit, I think.
Yeah, but he had beat him so bad
you couldn't.
Even I was like, at the end, imagine if somehow they called it a draw, and the other guy's leaning over the ropes, dying, and you're sitting there going, what? That guy just won. I didn't go for that guy, but that guy won. I can be honest. I picked the other guy, but that guy won. You know, that's when you need the 5-year-old to come out and judge it and go, no, that guy won. That's, you know, yeah, that's, you couldn't, because I thought that, I was like, if it's close, but I think about the 4th, 5th round, like you said, Joshua got that look in his eyes and like, yeah, he's done. He's got to land something big.
And you know, that's always been his problem that I've seen is his commitment, how invested he really is in being a fighter.
Do you think he should change trainers, possibly, or his team?
He's a sports psychologist, maybe. I mean, that's the chink in his armor is the mental game. It really is.
So, but let's just say
he is the most naturally talented fighter in the division, but it's here where he just doesn't have it. You know.
Let's say Joshua wins the fight. Let's say he knocks him out. He catches him, right? Now you have your mega fight again.
Yeah.
But I would still favor Tyson Fury in that fight. Because I think that would be, in my mind, Fury, if he gets that fight, again, if Joshua wins, annihilates, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. It could. And then to Tyson Fury, I think that's it. I think he goes, I fight this fight. That's it. I'm done. I go do other things. He even, I said, he told, I guess from what his father said, I was watching an interview with his father, that he said, I'll train Joshua for the rematch. I'll show you how to beat you.
I saw that.
He goes, I want my money fight. He goes,
and I think Tyson has a future behind the mic too. He'd make a great
absolutely. Let's see what here. AJ has a puncher's chance against anyone. I agree, but he's passive against boxers. AJ's better when his opponent comes at him. Well, yeah, he hit Ruiz, and then Ruiz hit him back, and he went down. But I do agree with that. But we've already talked about the AJ fight a little while back, but here's the thing with that. They should have come out and got their pound of flesh right away. Jump on him. Jump on Usyk. I'm not saying like Firpo Dempsey, but I'm saying jump on him and bang to the body. Let him feel your power. I'm the stronger dog in this fight. Yeah, you might bark and you might move. I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to jam that right hand into your rib cage, left hand into your rib cage. I'm going to put my forearm under your... He needed to rough him up a little bit. He never did that. And by the end of the fight, it was Usyk roughing him up on the ropes. I'm sitting there in shock.
Yeah, it's just not AJ's style. I mean...
You know. Other than that, I don't know who else Fury has. It's Anthony Joshua, Usyk to grab the belt.
For money, it's Joshua. Usyk is a much better fight, I think. That would be a very great tactical fight. I mean,
we were discussing this a little earlier. This is one of the fights I'd like to see next, actually. But Joshua did exercise his rematch clause, because I think a Joshua Wilder fight in the UK is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if Joshua wins, I wouldn't screw around with any other fight except Fury, because make your gazillion dollars, more money, then don't take smaller fights. Don't. There's no need. There's no need. You win, lose, or draw. You don't ever have to. And I don't think Joshua. I agree with Anthony. He doesn't have the love for the game. It's strange to say people have the love for boxing, but there are a lot of fighters who actually have the love for the game. I mean game lightly. It's not a game. It's a hurt sport.
Yeah, Fury is one of the prime examples. And, Teofimo Lopez, too. Despite all his theatrics, he loves to fight.
Yeah. Jim L says, what if it was a tremendous fight? Unbelievable. A trilogy of, it's going to go down in history as 3 fights that were outstanding and different. The first fight, and I think Anthony and I talked about the first fight years ago, where I was like, he should have sat down in his punches more than he did. And then and it's not a complaint. I'm just saying the one thing I saw he did wrong. Now he's smothered himself, but then see, I'm talking with Anthony, and I'm thinking as Anthony's talking, where maybe it was I want to get my shots off. I don't want to get hit with retaliation, I can lean on him. I just thought at the end when he really, really had him, I thought he should have, but he still tagged him. It didn't matter. But yeah, that was fun fights.
It really was. And I kind of, talking about Wilder and AJ. I look at that fight very much like Warren Chandler here in the last comment. AJ is going to be tentative against Wilder. He really is, and probably rightfully so. And athletically, he's very good, can move, can box, but he doesn't have that savvy, that intuition that Fury does. And I agree. I see him getting caught. I think Wilder wins that in the 6th, 7th round.
I could see AJ catching Wilder though and dropping him, but yeah. I see Wilder getting up. Where I see the other way, if Wilder drops AJ, Wilder's going to finish him.
But I think Jim, yeah, there is a Wilder card. Wilder, Fury, Josh is in there too.
Oh yeah,
I think
boxing has them all.
I think Wilder needs to take a fight against a fringe fighter for his next outing, because he has to get his headspace fixed. He's got to get that swagger back, and really he's had 2 brutal fights, and granted, fighters don't fight like they used to, but I think it's still important for his future, if he plans to stay in the game 2 or 3 more years, to get a fight that he can just go in and steamroll someone and be the old Deontay Wilder.
So you would take, because I had a different theory, if you just joined us, where I said I like to see him in, obviously it's not going to be him and Joshua now, but him and Ruiz next maybe. So you would take a lesser opponent, build him up again.
Trust me, I would love to see him and Ruiz. I would take on someone first.
Right, but
lesser.
Okay.
An example like a Chris Arreola. I think that would be an entertaining fight.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a nice buildup.
Yeah.
If we do, you could do not like the wrestling gimmick thing, but the wrestling thing where he fights a Mexican American. He should, let's say he wins, he should, and now you bring on another Mexican American. So it's a whole build up to that. But yeah, that would be, because Arreola is going to come to fight.
Oh, Arreola is a tough son of a bitch.
His question is with him, training.
And he was in good shape for his fight against Ruiz.
Ruiz, yeah.
He had
quite impressed.
He had that opportunity early, and he just couldn't capitalize and finish him. But I thought he fought that fight very well.
How old is he? He's got to be.
I think he's 37, 38.
Okay. And he was a good amateur too.
Yeah,
he does have
he's
skill.
Been around forever. Let me check.
Yeah. Let's just go here. Hockey Unreal. Check out that wonderful YouTube channel. Ton of.
He's actually 40, Al.
Yeah. Okay. I thought he was late 30s, early 40s, which you're pretty close, 37. Hockey Unreal. A ton of toughness, both of them. Yeah, absolutely. Tremendously tough fighters. Main event. Hello. As he says hello to everybody.
What's happening?
Warren says AJ has all the physical tools, and on his day, without being gun shy, he could beat anyone. Sadly, the AJ that beat Dillian White has disappeared. AJ's being cautious won't work against any of the top guys.
Spot on.
It's an excellent assessment. In the Dillian White fight, White rang his bell. I watched that fight same day as someone put it up on you. You can find it probably still on YouTube, and that was actually a really exciting fight. He ended up stopping White, but White rattled him. Let's go back here. Wilder versus Wyatt or Chisora, that would be great. Dillian White and Wilder would be interesting. Chisora is tough. He would take a beating. You know what though? He would give him a tussle for a while. He doesn't back down. I just don't think. I think he's older now, and he actually, in my opinion, he throws more punches than he did when he was younger. Chisora, and I thought he beat Usyk that fight. And then Usyk was sick. I'll take his word for it but I thought he beat Usyk in that fight. Our good friend, Steeler Fan 1933, Jim Al. I haven't watched it yet, but The Replay Gamer posted a Fury Wilder. Oh yeah, a Glory Days boxing fight today. Yep.
Nice.
And again, newest member of our community, the Replay Gamer. He just picked up Glory Days boxing. Not to give a shameless plug, but I'm going to. Glory Days boxing, absolutely fabulous game. SidelineStrategies.com. Link provided on the page and in the chat. I believe I put it on the page.
And to answer your question, really, it's really, and I mentioned a couple of times, it's kind of one of the pratfalls of rating current fighters.
Oh yeah,
like as an example, Jim Trunzo doesn't rate many current fighters because of this reason. Because
it changes.
One, they're not as active as fighters used to be, and two, you can't chase ratings, and by that I mean, one guy has a great performance, and okay, I'm going to bump him up, then he loses 3 fights in a row, and so this fight, like with Fury and Wilder, this fight really didn't do much that would cause me to re-rate either guy.
No,
if it had been a dominating Fury fight again, I might have docked Wilder a little bit. If Fury, Fury may have got a bump, but it's tough. So I'd look to, like, in the next set, Canelo will get a re-rate because his work rate's improved since I rated him over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Josh Warrington turned out not to be the boxer that I thought he was when I rated him, so he's going to get a little downgrade.
Bump down, yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, I'd need to see a 3 or 4 fight sample.
It's very difficult to rate, just as Anthony said, current fighters. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. You can't expect, and here's the thing with you, Anthony, you're very accessible. Other companies, bigger companies, are not accessible. Excuse me. You have already re-rated Deontay Wilder and Fury from their original card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to flip through and find them.
I re-rated them after their first fight.
The
point I made when that question came up. At this point, their second fight, that was just a tactical masterpiece by Fury. And then their 2 fights after that, Fury didn't look good against Otto Wallen at all.
No.
Deontay Wilder did what he should have done. So, at that point, there was no need to re-rate them further. And again, like I mentioned, this fight really doesn't change anything in my mind either about them.
No, I think they're fairly rated. And again,
if the one thing I would do, if Wilder is going to fight at this weight going forward, I might dock his stamina a little.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, even then, okay, his stamina is not okay. This is his re-rated card. He is an 8-starred fighter. I that's very fair. 8-starred. Let's see if this stupid camera is supposed to go into focus, and hopefully it did. His stamina is 70 and 85. 70 for a 10-rounder, and 85 for a 12 or a 15-rounder. His hitting power is 6, and if he has you hurt, 8. Fury also moved up to an 8-starred fighter, and I bet you it's in that other pile. I have all the heavyweights. I don't have them in any type of order. Let's see here. But again, I think they're fairly rated. You can't, with modern, I could pull out my old title bout, and guess how they have Marvin Hagler rated? You'd be sitting there going, no way, because he was still active. You couldn't fight that Hagler card against Sugar Ray Robinson. He's not even going to be, he'd have to get all the card flips to be really competitive.
Yeah, a lot of times you just really need perspective on a fighter's career.
So again, you have to remember, a game is a game, and you can always adjust it any way you want. Glory Days Boxing, excellent game. Title bout, 2 good game. Lots of good games out there, but you can't expect every time something happens a re-rate.
You need to give your customers current fighters because they can identify with them, and it's just really precarious sometimes when you rate them. So,
as Replay Gamers said, thanks, appreciate it. I really love your game. Awesome game, awesome. Glad you're enjoying it. MV, our good friend, Mouse in the house. Chisora beat you. Oh, absolutely, he beat Usyk in that fight. You know, he did.
That was not the same Usyk that we
No,
saw.
it wasn't. No, and that really skewed me a lot because I'm
Mhm.
sitting there going, Anthony Joshua he's going to hit this guy and hurt. But you know what? Usyk said he was sick. He said it took a lot out of him. And he showed he was a lot better on the night when he fought AJ.
Yeah,
But he
sure.
definitely didn't win the Chisora fight. I agree. Warren Chandler. Put Wilder, AJ, and Fury together, and you pretty much get Lennox Lewis. Fury's very good, though. I'm not Fury. Fury is tremendous. Think about what he does. Think about what he does. He can box, okay? He can slug, and he can outmuscle you. Okay, he might be, as Anthony and I was, a bit chinny, but he got hit by a hellacious puncher. That being said, I also saw a cruiserweight nearly behead him at Madison Square Garden. I think of it as Steve Cunningham tagged him. So, but here's the other thing. He goes down, but what does he do? I get knocked down, but I get it up again. He gets up.
He's, you can rock him, but his recovery powers are
incredible.
amazing. They really
I've
are.
never seen. I mean, you've seen it some, but it's just you cannot. Whether you like him or not, he is the heavyweight of his era. That's my opinion. I agree when he says that.
Yeah,
and again, he is. He beat the second best fighter. Some people say 3 times. I say 2 and a draw. Because people who think Fury won the first fight, you can say that, but you have to be honest. He would have won the first fight if he didn't go down in the last round. He went down. You can't take that away from Wilder. He went down. How he got up, I still don't know, because I thought he was.
Well, how he finished that round is even more impressive.
Yeah, because he came back fighting. It was incredible. It was incredible. So,
So for MV, for your question, super middleweights just missed the cut in the last junior set. So that's something that I've had a couple of requests for. So I definitely will consider that. And I think there's room for the super middleweights to be included.
If you're able to do that, Anthony, I think it'd be a fun set. There's just a lot of underrated fighters, especially early on. There's a lot of good fighters. And Joe Calzaghe, beast. There's another, not to get into Joe Calzaghe, but a very underappreciated fighter. I've never heard a guy didn't lose. The guy didn't lose. He didn't lose. He didn't lose. And they go, well, he got knocked down against Roy Jones, and Roy Jones was old. And then he took every round after that. Go back and watch the fight, people. He's just Joe Calzaghe was a tremendous fighter. And there's a lot of fun fighters at super middleweight. A lot of fun fighters in the whole Glory Days boxing universe, all the weights. There's so many fun matchups. An easy game. It flows wonderfully. So, yeah, I like the super middleweights, but if you get to it, when you get to it, I'll be getting it.
There's time for that, because the next set will be, like I said, a very small handful of re-rates. Probably a few more current fighters, and then it'll be picking up. Definitely will be adding more old-time heavyweights, because everyone wants heavyweights, and there's enough that are known to add. And then also we'll be re-rating, or we'll be rating fighters at different divisions, like an official Tommy Hearn's middleweight card, that type of thing. So fighters that got across.
If you got the PDF, flyweight PDF, yeah. There is a. I have a Tommy Hearns middleweight card because I got the PDF on top of the other card.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll throw them in as Easter eggs, because the PDF holds.
Yeah, you're telling me
fighters, but
but if you could do Joe Baxkey, that'd be fun for me, at least.
I'll put him on the list.
I'd enjoy that. David Izon. He was a good fighter. He was a good fighter.
That's actually, yeah.
He was a good fighter.
That is a good suggestion.
As MV says, Calzaghe really didn't. No, he doesn't get the credit. I don't understand. The guy was tremendous. You know what? The UK had such good middleweights and super middleweights. it was frightening how much talent. Eubank, Ben, Calzaghe, Groves. Is it Groves? Carl Frosch. There's so many. One of my favorite fights as a kid, and I have it on tape because I taped everything when I was a kid. You're not even you'll know Nigel Benn. He fought a guy named Lou Gent, and they packed like 15,000 people into an arena, a small indoor arena, and that crowd was rocking and a rolling. And I think Lou Gent got stopped around the 6th, but man, it was a good fight. There's just so many fun fighters. It's Michael Watson. Michael Watson was tremendous. That is one of the best fights I've ever seen. Michael Watson, people in the chat, if you don't know, gave Nigel Benn his first loss. Unfortunately, Michael Watson never won he never won the world title. I think he lost to McCullum in a title bid. I think. Tremendous fight. I always liked him. And I really didn't follow him a lot because back in the day, you couldn't. I got lucky they put that fight, I think it was on NBC. It was like for the British Commonwealth Middleweight Championship or something. 12 rounds. They put it on because they were both world-ranked fighters. But yeah, Michael Watson was a good fighter. Why is the atmosphere so awesome in the UK for fights?
It's really just it's a culture there. I mean, amongst boxing, you talk about boxing going way back to bare knuckle days.
Yeah,
it obviously didn't have its birth in England. It happened before that, but that's where it really became, I guess, a popular blood sport under the old London prize ring rules, fight to the finish, and in a lot of places too. It was considered barbaric, and the English didn't look at it that way. And you have the gypsy community there. Appreciate that, Matt. Thank you. The gypsy community there. So again, it's really just part of the culture. The Irish were renowned fighters, obviously, and so I think, and you had rivalries over there too, England and Ireland, and so I just think it's kind of been passed down generation to generation. And the English love. I'm British. I know we love our sports heroes, and especially fighters. You see when a British fighter fights here in Vegas, England
they travel, and that's what Fury said. They couldn't, no, you British fans could come over because of COVID. That's sad. Steeler fan, I'm going to say it. Steeler fan, 1933. Our good friend Matt says, "I'm blue in the face, but I'll keep saying it. Glory Days Boxing is the best card and dice sports sim that I have played." And he plays a lot of sports sims. And there are good sports sims also, but I have to agree with it. It flows. It's fun. And there are some people, well, it doesn't, they'll say, oh, it's all built in. You don't have to it's built in. You don't have it. When the guy's tired, these are his ratings. And it's built in. You can play the games you like. I always say that, but hands down, I'm a big boxing fan, so I skew towards boxing games. I like baseball and football.
Well, and the other thing too, in general, I mean, you even see it with the Premier League or soccer teams, is English in general, I think, love to brawl. So why wouldn't they?
Well, the thing I like about the Premier Soccer League, not to get off subject, they play a little more physical brand of soccer, football, soccer.
Yeah.
You actually can get a yellow card for flopping, which I love, because I can't stand where someone acts like they got shot in the back. I'm like, come on, dude. And then the magic water spray. I'm good. Let's see what else here. I'm not putting that up. We all the countries drink. MV. We have a tribal soccer culture here. Alan Minter was closely associated with West Ham fans. Hatton Ricky Hatton used to come in with the colors of Man City and the song that goes with Man City. Brad 62. wants to ask Anthony, how's the football game going? Well, we had an update, but Anthony, you can tell.
Pretty much, yeah. It's good to go. Just waiting for the season to end to start rating, pretty basically. So yeah, it's on schedule still.
Great to hear. What do you think of the Alabama loss to Texas A&M?
I was kind of happy it happened. I think that makes Alabama more dangerous, actually.
Yeah. You're going to be mad.
But it's good for college football. And Georgia right now, I thought even before the Bama loss, I thought Georgia was the best team in the country, especially defensively. Their defense is amazing. So I think it's going to be an interesting conclusion to the season. I'm sure Georgia and Bama will they'll meet before the conference playoffs.
Yeah.
So, if Georgia gets Bama, then Bama's not even going to make the dance, I don't think. I don't see how you could put it depending on what else happens.
Yeah.
But, if Cincinnati goes undefeated and Bama gets in with 2 losses and Cincinnati doesn't,
that's not right.
That's bullshit.
Would you like to see an 8-team playoff? 16
For sure.
16 team playoff, 18.
16 probably too much. I think 18 would cap. I mean, they're still going to.
I'm sorry, I probably came on my. So you'd rather see it? You think an 8-team playoff is doable, and 16 might be too much?
We already have too many bowl games, so no one wants to watch 2 6 and 6 teams play 3 days after Christmas.
Nope.
So use some of those bowl games
for the playoff
game. More playoff games, and
that's what I say. Yeah. I don't understand why you can't do that, because if not, go back to the old way. I liked it better. At least the bowl games meant something.
And about a third or more of the bowl games lose a ton of money anyway. So
they do. Yeah, they do. Everyone wants to see, the Taco Bell bowl game featuring 5, 6, and 1.
Al, can you throw Sports Time Machine out of the chat and ban him from your channel?
Yes. Oh, Mr. Utah Mike, not gaining any favor. Mr. Utah, let me just explain something, everyone. Mr. Utah Mike is a Utah State fan, I do believe.
Utah.
And Anthony is not a Utah State fan. He is a Brigham Young fan, BYU. That's what Anthony is. He is a Cougar fan. They're 5-1. Give us your assessment of the 5-1.
But you know what? They deserve to lose because they played against Boise the way ASU played against us when they played BYU. And, it's questionable play calling, and I hate to call out coaches, but and
as you are
turnovers, they earned their loss.
All right. We'll give him a little more. He's a Utes fan.
And we all make mistakes, and I still like Mike. I forgive him for
that. What's going on? How goes college? High school? How goes the high school football?
We're 3-3 right now. Here's the thing about football in Arizona now is at the high school level, because of open enrollment and recruiting, there has become bigger than ever disparities between the haves and
have. Wow. I did not know. So a kid in Arizona can go to any high school within his whatever.
If my kid is a good player and I live here in Surprise, which is 30 miles west of Phoenix, and he wants to go to school in Chandler, which would take me an hour and a half to get there, and I was willing to drive him, that's okay.
Wow. Yeah, you can't do that it's a different culture.
And you have super schools here, and then you have very tiered levels of talent. And where I coach is an inner city school where we don't have that. But, for us, 3-3 is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we have 3 blowout wins, 2 close losses. And then Friday, unfortunately, we played one of the halves and we got blown out because we also had 3 of our best kids out. 2 for grades and 1 had to go on a family trip. So, it is what it is, but kids are playing hard, having a good season.
I don't like that then. I don't like that schools can recruit like a college. It's high school. I don't know. Old school. I don't know. We where I lived, you could go to any high school you wanted, but they're all close by. I went to where I was going to play. Where am I going to play? I want to play.
And I'm a big proponent of that, but it's a different time, and even as coaches, we have to adapt to that time and realize, what it is. So, I mean,
MV says, Anthony, what is your recollection of boxer Tyrone Everett? How good could he have been? That name sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he was late 70s, shot by his girlfriend, I believe, and killed. And very promising boxer.
What weight class, Anthony?
I want to say lightweight or junior lightweight.
Welterweight sticks in my head.
I think it was lightweight or junior lightweight. It was one of those, but definitely could have been. I mean, he was a very talented fighter. Could have been a top fighter, and unfortunately, tragedy derailed that for him. But very good boxer, puncher, and good balanced skill set. I actually, what he's in the junior lightweight set.
I think he is. Hold on. I can check. Let me grab the cards here. As I have all my cards right here. Oh, I think I put the lightweights all together. I think I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, he is. He was junior lightweight.
Junior lightweight. Okay.
He was 36-1, and he is an 8-star fighter.
So a very promising career.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's.
I was trying to remember the circumstance of his death, and that's he was shot by his girlfriend, right, MV?
And MV says, yeah, he's in the set. So.
Yeah.
But wow. To be done like that. Not to get not to have morbid. You know what? I'm not going to go. I had some morbid stuff because just guys and their girlfriends. If they're upset and they own a firearm, or just leave because it's happened. So just leave. If you're whether male or female, leave. I love that you. MV says, I love that you included him. It's good. Oh, yeah, yes. Edwin, yes.
It was 27-0 and
27 knockouts too, right?
He was unblemished.
Yeah.
And some of that is it the punishment you take in the ring that does that to you, or he was just really not a good person.
He was not a good person. He's on par with Ayala.
Yeah. Tony Ayala Jr., another one like that.
Again, great fighters, but
Gerald McClellan, great fighter, terrible person, and a tragic story.
Very tragic. But, well,
and I know I probably between football and boxing have had a dozen concussions, and there's times now that I short-term memory loss struggle.
Because
I don't know if it's from that. I just might be getting old, but yeah, it's a dangerous sport. Yeah, you do. That's a great point, Warren.
But
I actually used to enjoy getting hit, and now I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me? Why would anyone like that?
It was fun. You got to hit somebody.
I'll still go out. I still hit the bags.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll put the gloves on. I'll just be like, and I'm like, why did I ever enjoy this? And obviously, I'm not tagging myself, but yeah, it's still fun to hit a object that doesn't hit back, though.
Absolutely. That's what Usyk said when he fought Anthony Joshua.
Right.
So, Anthony, I've kept you long enough. Final thoughts on Fury's legacy. I think he's the best of his generation. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, every generation has their kings. You go back in the first part of the 20th century, it's Jack Johnson, and he passed that on through Willard to Dempsey and et cetera, Joe Louis. And So I think I don't know where he lands yet on the list of all-time greats, but I think he definitely fills that role.
I'm going to be very
for his
controversial for a moment. I think he gives anyone at his peak, Fury's peak and the other fighters' peak, he can compete with anybody.
Yeah.
Because he has the size, the power, the hand speed. There's some guys who would just, as much as I love them, I don't know how they would even fight him. He's so big.
He brings intangibles that imagine if Primo Carnera could box a little bit better than he could. Yeah. He's like that in relation to fighters.
Except he's much more of a great analogy. And some people go find this. I put it in a couple of Facebook groups page because I was astonished. I knew he was a better fighter. I did my studying on Primo because I'm sitting there going, and the reason why I did that, my dad was friends with the grandson of Jack Sharkey. We're good friends of the family. I felt bad for that. I'd ask him all kinds of questions about stuff because his grandfather, he saw his grandfather, before he passed, he saw his grandfather a lot and they talked the boxing game. And there was a, I forgot what YouTube channel, but I said, wow, I'm going to put this up because it really shows everyone who thinks this guy was a clumsy oaf is wrong. Look how he could move. And now he wasn't, I'm not saying he was great. I'm just saying he had some talent. So, but yeah, he's, and the thing with Fury, like say if he fought Ali, right? Again, I'm saying peak and peak. Ali's going to come in at 212. And again, that means nothing really because of the way Ali fought. But he has the length and he knows how to use it. And again, Ali would try to rat-a-tat him, and he probably could. But I think Fury could hold his own with anybody.
Ali would do a bunch, but people compare Fury to Ali, and it's a bit much. I mean, he does three things as well as Ali, and that's his instincts, his boxing IQ, and his anticipation of space. But he's nowhere near the footwork of Ali, or so
I think of all the fighters, older school, it's Ali.
Yeah,
and again, Ali's can be some people, number one, number five, number three, it's just at his peak, pre being stripped of the title. Because to me, when he fights Joe Frazier, and I'm not an Ali fan, believe me. I mean, he's a great fight. I'm just saying I'm not an Ali. When he fights Joe Frazier, he's not at his peak. He's still really, really good. He's just not at his peak.
Well, what he did well is he adapted well throughout his career.
And the other thing people don't realize, he sat down he could hit. That's when everyone tries to compare Mayweather to Ali. Mayweather never sits down. And again, he all-time great. I'm just saying. Ali sat down on his punches. He could knock you out.
It's the same with Fury. When Fury sits down on his, he fights a lot off his back foot, depending on who he's fighting. So, but he has power when he sits on his punches. MV will eventually do a rating guide for. Yeah, that'll be another freebie. The first freebie will be the trainers that are coming out in a week or so, and then I'll work to put something. That's going to be hard because there's still a lot of subjectivity in rating a fighter, but I'll provide a basic outline.
I have a question, Anthony. You know how you provide the blank cards if you want to make a card?
Okay.
How do you actually do that? I know that sounds stupid, but I've brought it up and I cannot. Do you have to have am I doing something wrong? Because I was like, if I wanted to.
Well, I create them in Excel and then save them to a PDF. So
maybe it's when you put the blank cards up. I think it's on the Glory Days boxing. I
think that's on a PDF.
Okay,
you'd either have to have PDF purchased where you could edit it, and fill in, or you'd have to just write in on those.
Okay, that's right. Because I must not have the thing. But anyway, it's nice that you provide that, because if someone wants to make. Again, it's your game. You want to make whoever or whatever. There's enough. You can make a card. You can make a card of yourself. It's fun. So I think Warren has we'll go MV first, and then we're gonna. Fury needs clean to clean the division. Well, the division needs to win so he can clear them out. They lose. He doesn't lose.
Again, I think if Usyk beats AJ again, AJ's probably done.
Yeah.
So Usyk would be the next, I guess, appealing fight. Depending again what he does with the winner of White and Wallen. And, then Andy Ruiz and Fury would be a pretty entertaining fight too. I think.
Yeah, that actually wouldn't be bad. I don't think it. Do you take that fight though? Would Fury get motivated for that fight? I mean,
you wouldn't need to now. Ruiz would have to get another win or two.
Yeah, I mean, because you want to max out your money. I know I keep going back to that, but if I'm thinking business-wise for the boxer, I'm maxing out my guy's money. Not only because he makes money, the whole boxing team together makes money, but you want to. I don't see Fury having more than 2 more fights, really. I really don't.
I agree.
And here, only punch Mayweather ever sat down was the free one he got against Ortiz.
But you know what? Hey, Warren kind of ruined his credibility earlier. Go up a little bit.
Here?
Yeah, come on. I know you're joking, but yeah, Jake Paul. Wow.
I think he's.
I'll give him props. It pains me to, but when he shared his purse with the undercard fighters, 100% respect for that, and he does speak up for the pay that fighters get. I'm not a fan of his antics, and I wish he'd fight a real boxer.
Yeah, Jake Paul. Yeah, they make money though. I haven't watched one of those. I haven't watched one of those, but
I watch him because I can free. But you can't hate the guy if people are going to pay him money.
No, I don't hate the guy. No, I don't hate the guy. I'm just saying but I didn't know he did that. Did he? He gave a lot of it.
Yeah,
that's nice.
There was
I can't.
He
like
distributed. Yeah, he distributed some of his purse to the people on the undercard, especially the female fight, to kind of call out pay disparity, which was a very cool thing to do.
That was cool. Well, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us. Anthony, we kept you over an hour and a half. I greatly appreciate your time. Final thoughts on anything, Anthony? Anything?
To answer a quick question from Matt, Steeler fan, 12 trainers, 6 cut men in the freebie set. And then, eventually I will add more too. That would be the Battle of the Blob. And
Warren's on fire today.
He is.
Warren's on fire.
He came in with some very strong takes on boxing, and then
he went to comedy.
Stepped into his second role as chat comic.
That's right.
Well done, Warren.
So Warren says, "Thanks, Alan Anthony. It's been entertaining as always. Much appreciated. You took the
thanks for
thank
stopping.
you for everyone who takes the time to come watch and listen. Go check out all the other wonderful YouTube content creators in I like to say our sports sim community, but it's more than that. But if you haven't subscribed, and most of you probably have, but check out Bleacher Bums Gaming. That's Anthony's channel, and there's many other fine YouTube content creators. If you want, check out my channel if you haven't, and check out Glory Days Boxing. Check out.
You know what we have to do, Al? We have to do a virtual fight where we both pick a fighter, and use strategy cards against each other sometimes.
Yes. Oh, one more question before I leave. So I was telling Anthony what I might do. Yes, I'm a Dwayne Bobbitt fan. Just I don't know. He's not a bad fella. Actually, he's a nice fella, and it always amazed me because I've done this with other boxing games where you can do, and I'm going to do it with Glory Days Boxing, where I'm going to play as Dwayne Bobbitt against a better fighter. I'm not going to give the better fighter strategy cards because that kind of, you're trying to give the weaker fighter a bit of a chance. And I'm going to see how that goes. And I'm going to talk with Anthony. I'm going to go back. You did a strategy how to use them a while back. I got to find that. Could you post, if you have time, could you post that again in the Facebook group page? Or I can just go back and find it because I have it.
I'll email you the link.
Oh, good. Cool. Because I want to try to, there's 2 thoughts of it. Like when I use fairly even fighters where I'm trying to figure out how I can just pick some strategies that would go with each fighter, but then have a roll, like somehow do a roll to say now they can use the strategy. Oh, they didn't get the roll. They can't, you know what I mean? I was thinking about that because I've not delved too much into the strategy cards because I just enjoy. I think the ratings are good, but I want to try to use the strategy cards just a bit, and I can't wait for the. Oh, there's a question regarding the trainers on the Facebook group page. If you're a member of the Facebook group page, please check that out and vote. As I can't remember, I'm going to go to it right now because then me personally, when I use the trainers, if I decide I'm not going to use it every fight, but maybe if I do or if I don't, I'm going to use whatever the role says. I'm going to go with that because it's either going to help them a bit or bring them down a bit, but it's not going to really, they're still going to be the fighter they are because that happens in training camps, And I saw where Anthony says, do you take one? He had listened that he wanted people to vote like one and not the other. Or if you don't,
the way they're set up now, you have your camp where you do roles for good, great, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so it could be beneficial or detrimental. And then each trainer has a permanent trait, which automatically adjusts a certain skill of the fighter, and a chance trait where you can roll and have more good stuff happen or very bad stuff happen. And that's the question, to only keep one of those traits, keep both, or just use the training camp and no traits.
So you think if you do both, it might skew it too much?
Possibly, and mainly for ease of play, because then you're adding more adjustments and stuff to remember.
Yeah, I was reading about the math.
Yeah, and again, it's something that can even be optional. Use
you don't have
if you want to.
I made my house rule. On counters, I do power checks.
Power check, yeah.
That's my house rule. Anyone can play the way they want. And my legal counsel, Smelly Wrestling Geeks, has just ordered Glory Days.
Appreciate that, and great name.
Yeah. So, all right, Anthony. Thank you very much. Again, I'll shut up. Final thoughts from Anthony.
No, I think we covered a ton, and again, just appreciate the advocacy of you for the game, Al, and all you do for the game, and that's why your name is on the instruction manual, along with Matt Steeler Fan 1933.
Thank you.
So appreciate you guys, appreciate the support and fun, and yeah, we'll definitely do this again. We'll have to have that virtual fight.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Health and happiness. Stay safe. Treat people the way you want to be treated. God bless. You know what's coming, folks. Peace. Love you all. Bye-bye.